The birth of an alicorn is something Equestria has never seen.
It is beyond even our understanding.
Apparently, Celestia and Luna were not born alicorns. Welp, everything I thought I knew, out the window. Curse you, Flurry the alicorn! You see this? This is the face of pure evil. Seriously though, call me Pinkie Pie in that one episode because I want my cannon back. Actually, it wasn't baby Snow Demon here that dropped the bomb, it was Celestia and Luna. When it was revealed that Cadance and Shining's baby was an alicorn, I wasn't at all surprised. After all, that's how most of the fandom thought pony genetics worked. Well, put down your Punnett squares, because apparently this isn't normal. The fact that Flurry was an alicorn wasn't even the shock, it was everyone's reaction. The only thing that told us this was unusual was Twilight's face here, and later the princess's explanation. It's as if Celestia and Luna's past as non-alicorns was common knowledge. This is an example of bad writing if you ask me, but no one's asking me. I'm the theory guy, not the critic. Anyway, since we're talking about alicorns again, I might as well look the part. The perks of being a changeling. That's right, I'm an alicorn now. Sue me. Or Mary sue me. Since you're watching this video, chances are you've also seen this one. Are There Other Alicorns has over 1.5 million views now, which is absolutely mind-numbingly incredible. Not to sound ungrateful, but I'm not sure if that's entirely a good thing. In that video, I made a confident claim that Celestia and Luna were born alicorns. I also said there were only 4 alicorn princesses. Yeah. Well, both of those statements are wrong now, and I've been getting hundreds of comments that all basically say the same thing. You forgot Flurry Heart.
Flurry Heart is an alicorn.
You forgot Flurry Heart, dude.
Flurry Heart is a acorn.
There are 5 princesses.
Yeah, Flurry Heart.
Duh. Flurry Heart is
How
an
about
alicorn.
condoms, Bobby?
If you include Fluffy
Flurry
Heart,
Heart
I
is
think
alicorn.
her name is 5.
Heart.
Princess Flurry Heart is the only unicorn.
Flurry Heart. They come. The baby of Cadance is the first that born.
Fact is, the video's outdated. There are now 5 known alicorns in Equestria. You got the Princess of the Sun, the Princess of the Moon, the Princess of Love, the Princess of Friendship, and the Princess of... merchandise. Buy our toys. Buy our toys. Buy our toys. Buy our toys. And of those 5, only one of them was actually born an alicorn. So I'm gonna re-explore the question, are there other alicorns, through this new lens. Call it a sequel. Let me start by asking a seemingly simple question. Is Cadance the first alicorn to give birth? Because if the answer is yes, then Celestia and Luna shouldn't be all that surprised. If this was the first baby born to an alicorn mother, they would have simply made the connection, called it genetics, and moved on. We know Equestria has a basic understanding of genetics, so I would expect a reaction more like, oh, so that's what happens when an alicorn has a baby. Not the birth of an alicorn is something Equestria has never seen. The latter is quite a sweeping statement for a sample space of 5. This convinces me that there have been other alicorns. Now imagine that I'm right. Hundreds of alicorns have existed in the past, and not once have any of them given birth to an alicorn. Now Celestia's statement makes a lot more sense. This is the premise my theory is based on. I present to you my history of Celestia, Luna, and the alicorns. Before Season 6, I always assumed that Princess Celestia and Princess Luna came from an ancient alicorn civilization, some great land outside of Equestria. They definitely seem to have come from somewhere else when they stopped Discord's reign and started their own. The new episode initially brought doubts to this theory. I mean, if Celestia and Luna had to earn being an alicorn, then it would be easy to assume that they were taught by mentors, just like how they taught Twilight and Cadance. You could also assume that their mentors were taught by mentors as well. This idea indicates a generational model. A smattering of mentors and their proteges, like a magical baton being passed from generation of alicorn to generation. Though this does seem to be where Starlight fits in, the explanation didn't really satisfy me. Think of all the questions that still remain under this assumption. Why do the royal sisters have flowing hair while Twilight and Cadance don't? They both became alicorns the same way, right? If it's just alicorns all the way up the chain, then who are the first alicorns? And where did Celestia and Luna come from when they stopped Discord? We don't even have a shot in the dark at these questions. However, after digging a little deeper, the pieces of the alicorn puzzle started to come together. I came to the conclusion that this entire assumption is wrong. There was an alicorn civilization. Yes, one that fits in the new canon. Let me explain how this works. Before Flurry Heart came into the mix, most of us were convinced that Celestia and Luna were born alicorns and to alicorn parents. However, we can't hold this to be true anymore without calling Celestia and Luna flat out liars. Well, at least not the first part. They may not have been born alicorns, but it's still possible that the two sisters were born to alicorn parents. In my theory, there was an alicorn civilization, but no one was actually born an alicorn. Earning one's wings may have been a coming-of-age type of thing.
Every time a bell rings, an his wings.
That's right.
In the same way equestrian ponies earn their cutie marks, these ponies in this civilization would earn their wings. Side note, I just want to get this out of the way. I think some alicorns may have started off as Pegasi, earning their horns instead of wings. In the first scene with Flurry Heart, Brony makes a comment about how she thought alicorn wings had to be earned, and the others voice the same confusion. Some people use this as evidence towards the theory that Pegasi can't become alicorns, and that, unlike the Crystal Heart spell, Cadence actually started off as a unicorn. Rarity's line doesn't necessarily mean that all alicorns started out as unicorns. She's just going off of the transformation most familiar to her, Twilight's. Directly after, Celestia and Luna never confirm or deny this, but I still think Cadence was originally a Pegasus. It's been shown that you can contain and even manipulate magic without a horn, so it still works. Heck, some alicorns may have even started off as earth ponies. Anyway, back to the civilization. Alicorns give birth to non-alicorns, who become alicorns, then they give birth to non-alicorns, who become alicorns, and so on and so forth. Non-alicorns in this civilization would be about as common as blank flanks in Equestria. It could be that these ponies earn their wings and horns along with their cutie marks. Now there's a question lots of people are likely asking at this point. If Celestia and Luna earned their way into being an alicorn just like Twilight and Cadence, why do they appear so different? Well, because they are. It's important that we establish the difference between alicorn civilization ponies and the equestrian ponies. Bet you can't guess what the difference is. Yep, magic.
Magic.
As I explained in part 1, alicorns must contain a large amount of magic. Every pony born in the alicorn civilization is born with much more magic than ponies in Equestria. Each one of them will become an alicorn. It's just part of their biology. They don't need other ponies to do the transformation for them. It just happens naturally, like a cutie mark. On the other hoof, your typical equestrian pony just doesn't have what it takes. In your dreams. Even equestrian ponies with a lot of magic still won't turn into an alicorn without intervention. And those are the key words. Celestia intervened with Twilight's and Cadence's biology. Equestrian ponies aren't meant to become alicorns. It may have been Twilight and Cadence's destiny, but that doesn't mean it was natural. These two are artificial, which is why their hair doesn't do the same wavy thing. Now it's a question of motivation that looms over our collective heads. For example, why did Celestia and Luna leave the alicorn civilization in the first place? Also, what was the purpose of turning Twilight and Cadence into alicorns? I'm going to explain with a story. This is where equestrian history comes in, and I have to admit, this is more like a headcanon or a fanfiction than it is anything else, but hang in there. This story changes everything. A long time ago, there lived a great alicorn civilization. The civilization never interacted with Equestria and its inhabitants. They didn't have a reason to. In Equestria's early days, there was little technology, the three tribes never got along, and the quality of life was just bad. So the civilization remained uninvolved and indifferent. But that all changed with Discord. Using Equestria as a foot in the door, Discord put the alicorn civilization at stake. Because of this, 2 alicorns were sent to restore the peace and to make sure it didn't go away. This is why Celestia and Luna left their home, to help Equestria get back on its hoofs. But as we know, peace didn't last as long as Celestia had hoped. Luna's rebellion kept both of them from returning to their home, for what Celestia knew would be at least 1,000 years. After Nightmare Moon was banished, there were now 2 problems standing between the Royal Sisters and their home. Equestria had become dependent on the alicorn rulership, so even if Luna was back, they could never justify leaving. That's when Celestia had an idea. The ponies in Equestria were nowhere as magically capable as the alicorns, but there were some very powerful ponies. So Celestia founded her school for talented unicorns. Centuries of searching for a worthy replacement ultimately yielded no success. There were some promising candidates, but no one quite met the mark. Something was missing. Enter the main 6. Twilight Sparkle had shown promise just like many before her, but this was different. In a wondrous feat of harmony and magic, the main 6 brought back Celestia's sister. Twilight Sparkle was the one she had been looking for, a powerful pony with 5 close friends to fall back on. Celestia could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. But even with Luna back, the initial problems still remained. Equestria still needed them, so Celestia brought Twilight up under her wing, preparing her to be an alicorn herself. She knew an alicorn leader would be revered in many ways a unicorn leader just wouldn't be. This was to ensure loyalty from all ponies of Equestria. Throughout the next few years, more trouble came Equestria's way. With each consecutive disaster, the main 6 became more and more capable, and the Royal Sisters became less and less necessary. Equestria was finally becoming independent, and the princesses could soon return home. And that brings us to the present. The main 6 not only protect from disaster, but promote well-being and harmony, everything you need in a government. The Royal Sisters are almost free to go home, back to the alicorn civilization, to their parents, possible siblings, maybe even children. We don't know anything about Celestia and Luna's life before they ruled Equestria, but I think the story matches up with the facts pretty well. So where does this theory put our two newest characters, Starlight and Flurry Heart? Let's start with Starlight. If it's true that Celestia and Luna plan on returning to their home, they have yet to pass the reins over to Twilight and her friends, because something very important has yet to be done. A big part of ruling Equestria is finding a successor. Celestia and Luna don't just need a successor, but a successor for their successor. If they were to leave Twilight in charge right now, with little ability to recognize good leadership, there would only be order as long as Twilight ruled. By the time she inevitably steps down, Equestria will fall back into disorder and require assistance once again. Twilight still needs to learn how to do what Celestia has been doing for centuries, finding someone to take her place when eventually she ends her rule. Since Starlight is roughly the same age as Twilight, I doubt she'll be replacing her, but she is good practice for the real deal. Well, you know what they say, teach a pony to rule Equestria, and Equestria will be ruled for a lifetime. But teach a pony to teach a pony to rule Equestria, and Equestria will be ruled forever. That was a mouthful. On the question of whether or not she'll become an alicorn, I think yes. She has the magical potential, and I wouldn't put giving Starlight wings beyond Twilight's ability. Plus, as far as powerful rulers go, the more the merrier. Twilight is going to need all the help she can get. After all, she does have rather big shoes to fill.
As Clown Mayor of Ponyville, I know I have some big shoes to fill.
No way I'm buying a t-shirt now.
Even though Malarson seems to be done with the show, I think another alicorn is still a possibility. So that's Starlight, but she's not the one everyone's freaking out about. Where does this theory put good ol' McFlurry Heart? Well, in this model, being born an alicorn would be like someone being born with their cutie mark, in which case we have a good reason to be shocked along with the other ponies. Or do we?
Who's Dewey?
Because there's one more awesome thing about this theory that I haven't revealed yet. It explains the anomaly that is Flurry Heart. Remember when I said that no one in the alicorn civilization has ever given birth to an alicorn? Well, Cadence isn't from the alicorn civilization. These are two entirely different types of alicorns. Of course childbirth wouldn't work the same way. Like I said, Cadence's biology changed when she became an alicorn, and it looks like that spread to her genes. That's right, Cadence's baby is every part as artificial as she is. Unlike the civilization ponies, Flurry Heart is not a true alicorn. That's why she didn't have to earn her wings. They were inherited from her mother's artificial genetics. This is something that might not have happened if Cadence became an alicorn naturally, like the royal sisters. Now, we don't know this for sure, but there are two firsts going on here. The first artificial alicorn to give birth, and the first baby born as an alicorn. We only changed one major variable and got a different result. Of course, correlation doesn't imply causality, but I'm pretty confident that there is a connection. So don't put your Punnett squares away just yet. But hey, that's just a theory. And I really need to end this video before I literally transform into MatPat. Anyway, whether you agree with me or not, you can't deny that Flurry Face here is special. No matter how this phenomena came about, she's the first pony ever to be born with wings and a horn. What exactly the specialness entails is a different question entirely. My guess is she'll end up being some sort of chosen one in an upcoming story arc. I also think magically she'll surpass the skills of Twilight. She might even be Twilight's replacement, but there's no way to tell at this point. In review, Celestia and Luna were born and raised in a land where all ponies naturally earn their wings or horns. When Discord took over, they left the alicorn civilization and came to Equestria to establish peace. They spent their time preparing Equestria to be independent so they could return home. Part of that was finding someone to rule in their place. During their visit, they turned two ponies into artificial alicorns, one of which gave birth to another artificial alicorn. The first one being born with the wings and horn combo, which leads us to today. I've covered a lot of ground in this video, like a lot. So naturally, I'm really curious to see what you guys think. Do you agree, disagree, why or why not? Can you expand on these theories, including other elements from the show? Let me know what you think in the comments. I can't wait to read these. I hope this video will be relevant for a little longer this time. That is, before it gets proven wrong by the next glorified toy commercial. Only time will tell what the future holds. Until then, this is the Brony Notion, signing out until next time. Brohoof.